What's up, everybody, and welcome to the FPL WildCats Live. Thank you for joining us. Yes, I know there's football on, but we have to get a stream in somewhere. So here we all are to talk everything about Game Week 27 and look forward to the first. Is it the first blank game week? It might not be actually.
No, it's the second.
The second blank game week, blank game week 28 for the Carabao Cup. So I'll pass over to Nim and let's get on with the show.
Yeah, thanks, Jay, and welcome everyone to the stream. As you can see, we have our regular guest, Graham, at Fantasy Football Focus back with us this week. Hey, Graham.
Hello, Nim.
Curtio was unable to make it tonight, but I'm sure we'll need to touch upon his epic shout on Pepe after the last stream. Much laughed and discussed about there, so he had an epic shout there. But for now, we will talk about how we got on in Game Week 27. So, Graham, would you like to kick us off with how you got on, please?
So, in Game Week 27, Nim, I got 54 points. So, finally, a big relief, a green arrow, which takes me to 1,800,000. So, away from the 2 million mark. And big hero was Kasper Schmeichel with the penalty save. So, that helped. 12 points there. Trent Alexander-Arnold. I think he get 2 assists. No, he got 1 assist, didn't he?
2 assists.
Yeah. Oh, 2 assists. He didn't keep the clean sheet. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And then I captained Pepe. So that was a bit off the back of Kurt's shout.
Hey,
I was not going to let the Kurt train leave without me being a part of it. So it worked, but maybe I could have captained Salah instead, but then that would be following the crowd. Sometimes it's nice to have a differential, but yeah, Salah was 7 points, so that was nice. And then auto subbed in, admittedly, for Martinelli, Calvert-Lewin with the 6 points, that overhead kick. So, yeah, I'm happy just to have the green arrow. It's a big relief for me.
Yeah, cool. Green arrows are always good. I can't remember what they look like. Anyway, moving on to Brett.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, guys. So I got 68 points this week. However, I did use the bench boost. So I would have had 52, I think, which is kind of about average, the kind of average score. But I managed to get 16 points from the bench boost, which at the start of the game week, I kind of asked myself, would I take 15? And I would have taken 15, which isn't spectacular, but it's decent. So I got 16 points from it. I bench boosted because I wildcarded in 25, and it was just in my plan to bench boost in 27. I had some decent fixtures there with Taylor at home, McCarthy at home, Fleck at home. Lascelles was away to Palace, but again, I thought that one could be maybe a 0-0 Palace and Newcastle. And yeah, like Burnley got the clean sheet against Bournemouth, quite fortunately, obviously due to VAR. And obviously Southampton got the clean sheet as well. So 2 clean sheets from the bench boost is okay. And it was just more, I wanted to stick to the plan. I'd made a plan and I just thought I'm going to see it through now. So even though it's a single game week, that's kind of out of the way now. And when the big double game weeks come on down the line in the season, the plan is just to focus my money on the starting 11 for those now rather than a 15-man squad. So, 68 points. I'm in the top million for the first time this season. So I can finally say K at the end of my ranks. I'm like 800 K now. Yeah, which is, I was 2.1 million in like game week 23, I think. So it's been a nice little rise there, mostly due to Mo Salah captaining him most weeks, the triple captain as well a few weeks back. So a good week. I brought in Richarlison and Jimenez this week. They both got points as well. They both scored. So nice. 2 little successful moves. Obviously, Fernandes got the 14 over Richarlison's 6, which was another option. But if I'm honest, I'd seen more from Richarlison, more information to go for him. So, yeah, I'm sticking by that choice. And, 68, so very good week.
Cool. Well, good times. Yeah. So I'm going to be bringing the mood down a little bit here. By the looks of things. There's another red for me this week. That's my 8th in a row now. Unfortunately, the Community Clash captaincy hasn't been my friend like it has been the other Wildcats. Oh, yeah, right. So I'll be transferring that somewhere else this week so you lads can fight over it because it seems to do well for you guys. Although I might have broken in it, or you guys might have used up all the luck. So giving it all to Brett.
Keep it coming.
On the plus side of the team, McCarthy did manage clean sheet 7 points, and as said before, Trent did get his 2 assists. They could have had another, obviously, if there wasn't for the offside, but 10 points is still pretty good. But that's pretty much where the good ends in my defence in midfield. Salah was the only returner for me and was my captain and got the goal, but of course he was everyone's captain, so he really didn't, you know, hurt or help in either way. A last minute switch with 20 minutes to go until the deadline from Aguero to Jimenez was thankfully a little bit inspired. Obviously with Aguero missing that penalty, but Jimenez getting the goal, that definitely helped. Otherwise I would have been looking probably nearer 500k now. I got 47 points overall, but it does feel like an opportunity missed as well, because I did have Snodgrass first on my bench with an assist, which is slightly annoying. I probably was never going to play him against Liverpool, but still, you know, it's a bit annoying when Traore gives all this promise and then he's not starting. So that's been, you know, quite
that's just rotten luck. You can't look at that any other way than rotten luck now.
Yeah, for weeks I've been saying I'm just not convinced by Traore, and yet I keep holding him because of these fixtures and his potential, or like not benching him over other players when I've got more of a gut feel for them, and then he still ends up like not starting or only getting 1 or 2 points, and I'm like, oh, I should have just, you know, benched him or got rid of him. I really, really, really nearly went Batchisel. After the 7 reds, I really nearly took a -4 for Fernandes, and I very nearly took a -8 for Doherty. But already losing Aguero felt scary enough, so I didn't quite jump for it. However, if I had have done it, I would have been sat here better off in points and pounds, because obviously they've both done quite well and gone up in, you know, in money as well since. So a little bit frustrating, as it just feels like a bit of an opportunity missed this week for me. But Jay, how did you get on?
Okay, so back to Green Arrows, because we want to be positive. I'm just outside the top 300k now, so it's been a bit of a slower.
Surpassed me, haven't you?
Yeah, it's just been slow compared to the big rise from when I was around the 2 million mark, but still, I can't really complain in a game week where some people did struggle to get points. I had Pope in goal. Pope with a biblical performance in goal, managing to claw back 2 goals and go back to a clean sheet. So thanks to that, Pope. He's got VAR on his side. Just remember that.
Since I sold him, he's done absolutely amazing.
I'm telling you, I looked, it's like 4 returns in the last 6 or something like that. Trent and Doherty in defence, of course, really helped my game week with 10 points each. Salah captain like everyone else, so I was pretty boring there. And then Dominic Calvert-Lewin has been very, very consistent for me since I brought him in. So I can't really complain.
Told you to stick with him. My dream came through in the end.
it doesn't feel exciting. That's the problem. There's a
well, you know, I would feel pretty excited if I was getting points now.
I watched the highlights.
On what you interpret as exciting, my friend.
He could have scored so many more. That's kind of the issue I have with Calvert-Lewin, is he'll tick over with these returns like 6 points, 5 points, 7 points. But when I watch the highlights, I'm like, he could have had 2 or 3 in this game. It just never seems to happen.
Damn it.
So yeah. But yeah, I can't complain. 59 points. It wasn't a bad game week for me. So issue is a Traore, of course. Now with Wolves playing that 3-5-2, I am a bit concerned about him. Other than that, Dele Alli, I'm not too sure about as well. And Ings, ever since I brought him in, just other Southampton players seem to be scoring, so that's a bit annoying. But yeah, I can't complain.
Cool. Okay then. So if people don't mind getting your questions in the chat, for now we will head on over to the questions we got on Twitter, and Brett will make note of some of the questions from the live chat. And our first question comes from @Samantha_1991_, one of our moderators for our WildCats Discord channel. And she says, after the Liverpool versus West Ham game, should we really consider Trent captain for game week 28 against Watford? What do we think, Jay? Trent captain?
I mean, for me, you can't knock the returns. If you look at the returns he's got recently, the clean sheets are back for Liverpool, and he looks really good against West Ham, and he creates chances every single game he's playing in, so there's always the chance he gets those assists, and then with the clean sheets back, it's definitely something you can gamble on. I just don't like gambling on clean sheets, because whenever I do it, the clean sheet seems to disappear, which is why I haven't gone back to a double Liverpool defence, because I feel like if I did go there, the clean sheets would stop. So it's probably just as good a gamble with the way Liverpool are playing as going with, say, a Salah or Mane, but of course they have just conceded to West Ham, which I think it was said by one of the mods actually that maybe the aura of their invincibility has been given a knock with the recent results. So potentially goals will start going in again, and I don't like betting on clean sheets. So for me, it would still be sticking with Salah or Mane or captaincy if I did go with Liverpool.
And what about you, Graham?
Well, I've had TAA this season, and when it was the double game week, that's when I triple captained him. So I went for the clean sheet, so to speak. I think it was it the first game they didn't get a clean sheet, and the second one they did. So for me, I wouldn't captain him unless you're confident Liverpool are going to keep the clean sheets. I mean, and if anyone will keep clean sheets, surely it's Liverpool, because they're leading the way. And their defence just kicks butt, doesn't it, really, with VVD in there, and the whole team is just amazing. So if you really feel that they're going to keep a clean sheet, then yeah, and the bonus would be obviously his attacking returns going forward. Then FPL is all about gut instinct, isn't it? Following your gut, I think.
Yeah. There are a lot of captain options this week. I very nearly captained Trent against West Ham. I never mentioned it because I haven't yet been brave enough to captain a defender ever in FPL, ever. So the temptation is there for me, because I was sat there thinking my gut was telling me to do it last week and I didn't listen, and now it's telling me to do it again. Should I go with it? But, it's difficult, because especially as I need a bit of a bump in OR now, if I'm going to kind of, get anywhere near that top 100k again. That said, with Salah, Vardy and Ings all having great fixtures for me this week, I'm leaning towards Vardy as a potential differential captain rather than Trent. So it's tough. I think, we have to stop thinking of them as defenders, really, and start thinking of them as midfielders, really. I can get your guys' points with the clean sheets, but just watching Trent and Robbo last night, they were more like midfielders, and they had so much freedom to cross the ball into the box that, I'm not sure. I think that is it. We just panicked because of the clean sheet thing. Whereas would we kind of, not consider to captain maybe, I'm trying to think of another player on the wing, but say in Aubameyang sometimes, Trent can get into some of those same positions that he does when he's out on the left, and we'd happily captain him. So yeah, I think it's a shout. It's very much gut feeling, though, like you guys said, it's very much your gut, but I'll probably end up chickening out and going with Salah again. I could just see it now, but yeah, my gut would.
I think
would
Trent's
be with
on
Trent
corners though, isn't he, as well?
Yeah, that helps a lot as well.
My counter argument to it all would be, though, with Robertson and Trent, the assist potential is there, but the goal potential, both of them. And if they had that goal potential, then I'd lean towards.
Sorry, I thought you were saying which one will do it rather than which one.
I just think if they had the goal potential, like they have the chance creation, then I'd lean a lot more, because of course they got more points for goals anyway, and goals are worth more than assists. It's because it's just assists that I feel like I need the clean sheet to get that double-digit return. If like with Doherty, you kind of have that goal threat as well. Not that I'm suggesting, just for the record, to captain Doherty. And now I feel like he will do something really good over the weekend against Spurs, but
it's going to happen.
Should I risk it? No.
Yeah.
Let's not go there. But that's the only thing that stops
Do
me.
it. Come on, we've had Pepe captain you, and it's worked out well. Let's get Doherty on the roll.
I am by no means a Kurt. I'm not that brave.
Oh, where is he now? I bet he'd just buy him, transfer him in, and captain him for us.
If Kurt did it, I might do it, just because it seems to work for him, so I might follow.
What about you, Brett? Anything to add to that?
Yeah, I feel like I could easily give a boring answer because for me, I'm like you, Nim. As much as I can see the appeal, I don't think I could ever actually go ahead and captain a defender. Ironically, last season when they were away to Watford, when Trent was a lot cheaper, I benched Trent away to Watford last season, and he scored a free kick and kept a clean sheet and got 15 points. That was painful. Nice. Yeah, I benched him for that. What I was going to say is that if you were going to captain a defender, I would be very wary to do it away from home. That's what I was going to say, basically. However, looking at the stats, so Liverpool this season have conceded 11 goals at home and only 6 away from home. So actually, they're performing better defensively away from home, and that's probably because they've scored a lot less away from home. So if they concede at home, they know they can go out and score 3 or 4 at Anfield anyway. So if you are thinking to captain Trent, there is an argument that they've got a good chance of a clean sheet. Only 6 goals conceded away from home all season in 13 games. And I get what Jay's saying. They don't offer much goal threat, and I feel that a lot with Robertson, especially. I've got Robertson, you got an assist, that's great, but he doesn't have that goal threat. Trent seems to be getting in some good positions to score quite a few games this season, but just misses the target a lot of the time. Or, the keeper saves it or something. He had a chance or two to score.
Yeah, he had a couple of free kicks, didn't he?
Yeah, and like you said, he's got the free kicks as well. He's got the corners. And look, they didn't even keep a clean sheet this week, and he still got 10 points because of the 2 assists. And he is their main creative outlet this season. And even though he got loads of assists last year, I wasn't sure you could say he was their main creative outlet. But this one is like they just constantly pass to him, cross, constantly.
Yeah. It was 2-0 last time.
There's no other defender really doing that.
I think it's their go-to when they're in trouble. Like there must have been some fear when West Ham went ahead. So I think often their go-to if they suddenly need the goals, like desperately, is to give it to Trent because they know the delivery is going to be that good. So
I think there's complete merit in making the move. I just don't want to say it. I know I wouldn't do it. I'm not going to do it this week. But there's it's 11 returns in a row now. Hasn't blanked for 11 game weeks straight. They've only conceded 6 goals away from home. He's got like 14 assists already. And the people that were brave enough to do it this week were the ones that laughing because they got 6 goals extra to the ones that captained Salah. So I can see the appeal in it for sure. I just know I wouldn't be brave enough personally.
Yeah, cool. Okay. At Fandoc United as he's had Martial since game week 24, but thinking of swapping him for Bruno Fernandes after game week 28. Thoughts on this potential transfer, Jay?
I mean, he's the hot topic right now, isn't he, Bruno Fernandes? He's bringing that kind of confidence and a bit of flair and arrogance to that Man United side that I think potentially it's missed since like Pogba's been out and not playing. And he's definitely a player that I would love to get on board with. And comparing him to Martial on Fantasy Football Scouts members area in the last 4 game weeks, the stats aren't actually that different, even for things like goal threat. Of course, Martial has scored more goals, getting 2-1, but the assists, of course, are there for Bruno Fernandes, 2-0. Attempts on goal, it's actually 10-11, so Martial has had 1 more chance. Of course, the chances come from inside the box for Martial, 8-2. But on target, it's only 5-4 in Martial's favour, and big chances, they've had the same 1 each. And Fernandes scored his big chance where Martial didn't. I mean, Martial's goal over the weekend was pretty amazing, but it wouldn't be considered a big chance. And then, of course, chance creation is where Fernandes outshines Martial. 7 created chances to 5 with 269 minutes to Martial's 349, so he's played less minutes, and the 1 big chance to Martial's 0. So I definitely like the idea of bringing him in compared to Martial. The only thing I would say is the price is very similar. If Fernandes came in a little bit cheaper than Martial, I'd probably lean to it a little bit more, purely because the goal threat still favours Martial just. and it is still early days. And I always worry that when a transfer first comes in, there's always that defenders don't know how to defend against Bruno Fernandes because he's just joined the league. It's a new player. Sometimes you get, I think Pedro, when he first came to Chelsea, first game, he looked absolutely amazing. I remember going, okay, I'll wait, watched him in that game, brought him in, and then he didn't do anything for a couple of weeks. Took him out.
He was like 9.5 million, I think, last season as well, wasn't he?
And so I always worry about jumping on a transfer that early, but he's definitely a player I've liked. The issue is the league he came from. It feels like Pepe with League One. But I do think Bruno Fernandes is a more complete player. And so I think he will be the main man at Man United. So it would be a punt I'd be willing to take. And for Martial, who always blows hot and cold, I think Bruno Fernandes will be a bit more consistent in his returns.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate the idea personally. I'll be getting Fernandes in this week.
Penalties as well, of course.
Yeah, corners and penalties, really appeals over Martial. I think it's a bit of a case of if you have no other transfers and you have the luxury to swap them, and you're really feeling like Fernandes is the one, then I don't mind it at all. I know people talk about this whole sideways move thing, but it's what you feel more comfortable with and what you think, is going to add more to your team. So I don't hate the idea at all. But obviously, if you have other transfers, I wouldn't be kind of feeling like you had to do it, if you see what I mean. Like, it's not a -4 move for me. I don't think just yet. I think if he continues superbly and you're a couple of weeks down the line and then Fernandes does seem to have pulled away largely in the stats away from Martial, then you can kind of think, okay, now I just have to do it, like we did, I guess, with Salah and Mane there for a bit. But I think it's a purely luxury transfer. I don't think it has to be done. Any more on that, Brett?
Not too much. I think you've kind of covered it, Nim. I feel the same as you. Like, there's this sort of, not myth, but there's this feeling in the community that there's no point making sideways moves, like you say, isn't it? And I think that, but it's probably because what I've read all the time, So, even though it's sideways, if I was to pick one of them now, I would go Fernandes. I know it's easier to say that because he got 14 points and Martial got like 7 or 8 or something. It's always easy after a game week to say who was better. He got 14 points, and I was kind of not doubting Fernandes, but I was kind of like, I'll wait and see a bit. And, the fact that he's on penalties is obviously a bonus, So, he kind of proved me wrong a little bit and got the assist as well. It's more, when I owned Martial earlier this season, I got frustrated watching him because I didn't quite know what you were going to expect, and you would blow hot and cold, With Fernandes, no matter what happens, he's going to be like the main man.
Yeah.
The centre of everything now. And I quite like that, It's a bit like Grealish at Villa, you kind of know that everything's going to go through him. That's the fact that I like about him. He's not going to get dropped. And I mean, a shout out to Jeff as well, because he's got both of them.
Yeah.
He wildcarded them both in and smashed it this week. So I prefer Fernandes, but I would if it was a free transfer, I'd be tempted for the sideways move, like you said, but I wouldn't make a sideways move for a -4, no chance. So I'd be patient, keep Martial now, maybe go to Fernandes in a week or two if he keeps performing better.
Yeah, I gave out Frank Walshay too a shout out on my video as well, because we were discussing Fernandes literally the week he came in, and Frank got him in as soon as he was available in the game, and since then he's done really well from him. So, he really kind of jumped on that wagon early, and I just didn't have the money or the moves, unfortunately. Otherwise, I may have been brave enough to join him. But yeah, Graham, anything to add to that before we go to somebody in the chat?
Just go along with what you guys have been saying. Yeah, he's the main man. Everything's going to go through him. And if you're looking at it between Martial and himself, then Martial's going to be played through by who? Fernandes. Fernandes could play anybody through, so he could be involved in more points, and obviously he's on the penalties, and that's basically all I have to say on it, really.
Yeah, I kind of feel like he's like, as Brett said, like that very close comparison to Richarlison. Those that have kind of doubled up on Calvin and Richarlison the last few weeks have really kind of, done well from that, because it always goes through the same channels.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's kind of what I was hoping with Traore and Jimenez. I was kind of they can both
You and me both. You and me both.
It seemed like the logical move. That's what I was planning on doing.
I wanted the Fraser-Wilson combo again.
Yes, yeah. We all do. We're all looking for that.
Yeah.
Like the KDB Aguero one that seems to have melted away into existence somewhere. Okay, cool. Do we have a question in the chat, please, Brett?
We do. Just really quickly, in the second half, Bayern are 3-0 up against Chelsea.
Oh my!
Wow.
Nabry has scored
gosh.
twice. Yeah, Nabry scored twice.
No way.
Come back to the Premier League, Nabry, please.
Yeah.
Nabry is
For
just
8 million.
destroying all the teams. He's like an
Oh my
absolute legend.
gosh. Wow. We're buying back. We should have a buyback clause.
That was daylight Nabbery.
Hey, love it.
Okay. So Tom Minter wants to know what's going on with Lundstram. Is he going to play again? You know, has any of us still got Lundstram now?
No, I've got rid.
I've still got him.
Yeah, I still have him as well, but I'm thinking about getting rid of him this week for -4, which is dodgy, I know, for a defender, but the defenders I'm looking at, and with your likes of Pereira or Doherty, they're attacking defenders, so I'm kind of trying to look at it that way rather than, worry too much about the -4. I'm just thinking Lundstram has lost his place. If he can't get a spot after scoring a goal the week before, then when is he going to get a starting place in that team? Like only when, they feel the team is tired and they need to rotate, it looks like he's going to get a start. And I just don't think as FPL managers we can bank on that. And that's so sad.
So basically we're saying, Rudy,
move on, my friend. We all have to.
Take the money now.
Yeah. Bank that cash.
So, Graham, you still got him. What's your plan with him now? Have you got the chance to swap him out, or?
Unfortunately, it is the FPL attacking defender dilemma. So we always look for defenders that have that attacking potential or the assist potential. And I've tried so far to sort of put Lundstram on the bench. I bring in Aurier and Sidibe, and Aurier returned a few times. Sidibe looked good at first, but now I've got sort of free fires to put out there.
Oh, true, because they're both attacking, but neither are keeping clean sheets, are they?
Exactly, yeah. So yeah, right dilemma there in defence.
So you if you keep him, it's only by necessity rather than want.
Yeah, well, it's like roll a dice, isn't it, and pick one.
I suppose you've probably got less. Like if you sell, you're going to get less money back for Lundstram than you get for the other two. I think
it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah. Oh, bless you. I feel your pain. Okay, we do have a couple here from our Christopher. We'll have to start giving him his own spot on our channel, along with Jeffers. So RP, he's asking wildcard must players. So Graham, what do we reckon? Wildcard must have players.
Well, I've done something special for this part of the show.
Ooh,
so
hello.
We've got a Wildcat player combo coming up.
Ooh,
so my picks are J&O Jimenez. And
I love that.
His fixtures are Tottenham, Brighton, West Ham, Bournemouth, and Aston Villa. And he's very consistent, really. He ticks along nicely.
We had no idea that was coming. People.
What worries me is the head's on backwards. The number is showing.
That's all right. It can get a header.
That's how good he is. That's how good he is.
He can see 360 degrees. He can see the whole game.
Header of an owl. That would be class. And then I know it's a blank game week for Arsenal in 28, but going forward, their fixtures do look good. We've got Nim Ketia. I think that Arsenal got West Ham, Brighton, Southampton, and Norwich. So fixtures looking all right there after 28.
Oh, wow.
And then
amazing.
Brett knows it's coming. It's Brettonio Rudiger. Is Chelsea have Bournemouth, Everton, and Aston Villa. So another backwards header, but they all count, as they say.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, so, Graham.
I hope that helps.
That was, I tell you what, if all three of those come in.
That's quality.
If all three of those come in, you will have to do this part of the show every single time.
Every single time. You're going to be invited back. We'll have to clip that. That was brilliant.
Thank
you. I kind of don't want to say anything else now because it's just going to spoil
how do I follow that?
Yeah, exactly.
My answer's going to sound really boring now.
Yeah.
Need a pair of scissors. Quick, do some art quickly. Make some more.
Heart attack time.
Here's one that I prepared earlier.
Yeah.
That's basically what Graham just did.
Yeah. Oh, it's brilliant.
Heart attack never gave you time to get the stuff. It was never in your house.
No, that's true. That is so true. To be like, right, get ready, kids, and you'd be like, with what? I don't have anything. So it for me, LP, it's really difficult to know who your must-have players for a wildcard would be without knowing what your plan is when you plan to wildcard. Because obviously, if you're planning to wildcard this week, it'll be quite different from wildcarding next week. If it's like me and you're planning on wildcarding, shortly after the blank, I'm considering Aubameyang and Sheffield United defence, because despite their fixtures, I don't think it's really caused them too many problems so far this season. So I'm still, considering that. Obviously, they might have a double. Well, they will have a double as well, which will help. One Leicester defender, at least, maybe with those fixtures, if they can tie things together. One Wolves defender. And then I think just fill in with the best of the rest, if you can. I'm undecided on the whole Grealish thing. So maybe Brett can help or Jay can help there, because I'm not really sure, or even Graham. I'm really not sure. I've got him at the moment. And I've got Traore and Snodgrass. And I can get to Fernandes from any of them with the amount of money that I had from selling Aguero. So obviously, the easy move is to sell Grealish because he blanks. But then I'm thinking, well, I want him back afterwards, and have him long term. So he's one that I'm not sure whether, if I was wildcarding soon after and I sold him this week, whether I would then try and get him back in. What do we think? Jay, what do you think on Grealish?
Caught me off guard.
I'm sorry. Sure. Okay, then does anyone else have any thoughts on Grealish?
I'll still give it a go. With Grealish, I just feel like if Aston Villa are going to score, and they seem capable of scoring against most opposition, they're just not that good at keeping opposition out. I feel like Grealish is going to be involved still. So I know he blanks, but my plan was to always hold him through the blank game week and to keep him on board. For me, the fact that I've got the likes of Traore, they just seem like more important players to change, because I really worry now that Wolves are going to stick with that 3-5-2.
Definitely.
Doherty out wide. I think they did pretty much the same thing last season, in fact. They changed to a 3-5-2 with Jota and Jimenez up front near the end of last season, and it worked as well. So I don't know if this is like a on purpose thing, where they've deliberately done it again, or if it just is a necessity needed them to change back to this formation again. But I really like Doherty out wide now. I don't think that's going to change from the games I've seen. So I really worry for Traore's minutes. So I'm definitely in the Traore out, and then hope my first 11 play if I do use a transfer, because I don't have any playing substitutes, and then hold Grealish, just because for me Grealish he's proven himself as a Premier League quality player this season. And I just think if you're going to have an Aston Villa player when they need the points still, I think he's the one to have.
And of course, as we were just saying about Sheffield, they will also have a double. So I've agonised a bit over that one, because I do have the opportunity, if I am wildcarding close after the blank and not having much cash in him, to obviously get rid now, keep Traore, even if it's just on the bench as a kind of backup player, if because he's likely to get some minutes, and then look to get Grealish back in on the wild card. But then I wonder whether there's just much point in getting rid of him in the first place. Brett, what do we think? Thoughts on your, if you'd add anyone else to that wildcard list for a start, and then whether or not Grealish is in that or not, because I'm not actually sure whether RP has him. It was just kind of a side question.
Just quickly with Grealish, for me, he was on my potential list of transfers out, not because I don't think he's a quality player and a great FPL asset, but because of the blank and the fixtures after, which weren't great. Obviously, I'm still quite low ranked at 800k, and amongst the top, I know I'm not going to reach the top 10k now, but he's like 50% owned within the top 10k, which means probably in the top 500k he's still quite a popular player. So it seemed like a good chance to bet against Villa, who have bad fixtures, and go for like Harvey Barnes, who has good fixtures, and try and catch up a bit more. However, like Jay just said, because of this whole Traore confusion now with them switching system and Jota playing up front, Harvey Barnes from Traore looks like the more maybe sensible move now. So I might end up keeping Grealish for that reason. If I still had my wild card and I was on the wild card, I'd find it hard to keep Grealish on the wild card. I think if I had the luxury of changing my whole team, I'm not sure I'd keep Grealish at this point.
Even after the blank? It's difficult, isn't it?
It is difficult because all the points you've made are really good. Like, he is a quality asset. He's involved in everything. And I always remember I watched a lot of Jay Egerstorff's videos last season. And it is important to think about incentives other than just staying in the Premier League or other than fixtures. It's because he wants to get into the international team as well. And he's got another reason to play out of his skin for. That's another good reason to keep a player like that, because they've got other incentives to keep playing well no matter what. I like that about Grealish.
Potentially put himself in the transfer window as well, depending on what happens with Villa. Yeah,
exactly. So there's a lot of reasons to keep Grealish. I just think if I was on the wild card now, I'd probably look at Harvey Barnes instead, maybe at Leicester, just because of the fixtures are nicer, and because I'm chasing. Maybe if I was doing really well, I might keep Grealish,
But Brett, we did Harvey Barnes last year, and it really didn't work.
Yeah, and him not starting there the other day.
Because I'm in the same camp. Well. I was thinking Barnes. I was literally looking at the fixture list, going, when it turns for Leicester, Harvey
straight
Barnes,
away in,
and then.
That is true. And I mean, with Barnes, the one game you'll get 60 minutes and you might play the full. At least with Grealish, every single game he's going to play. So look, you're probably right. Maybe, I don't know. I have to think about it myself, really.
I'm still considering Barnes myself, just to put it out there.
Yeah.
I'm literally waiting for Friday, seeing what is said and going, okay, yes, Harvey Barnes.
Who was it that asked the question, Nim? Sorry.
It was RP.
Okay, so with RP, I mean, in terms of your wild card, it would depend if you've got your free hit or not, I think, because if you haven't got your free hit, then you need to kind of keep game week 31 in mind and wild card with players that you kind of know are going to play in that game week, if you haven't got the free hit available. If you have got the free hit, you can kind of wild card into any team you want now, and you could still not worry about that week if you wanted a free hit then, so that would change what kind of team you put together. But I think with the fixtures, I think at least one Leicester player, one attacker from them for the fixtures, because of Norwich and Villa next, back to back, and then Watford, who are starting to lose the new manager bounce. That's 3 games in a row where Vardy, Barnes, Perez, even Maddison, I still believe can do well in those. I would obviously have triple Liverpool, whether it be Trent and Robbo and Salah or Trent, Salah and Mane.
Triple Liverpool? Just out of all of us?
No.
Okay, just wondering. Sorry to cut you off.
No.
I don't have triple Liverpool.
I thought that was a given.
Yeah, I thought it was a given as well. I actually put, like, when I was making my notes earlier, standard.
Yeah.
Come on, it's the WildCats. Nothing standard about us.
Well, that's true. That's true.
So RP's in the chat said he does have the free hit, so you don't kind of have to worry about the team. I mean, we don't know which teams are going to blank yet, but lots are. If you're undecided whether you're going to free hit in 31 or not, then I would look at Wolves players. Maybe that's a given as well, but they're in great form. They've got very good fixtures coming up. I know they're away to Spurs next, but that's still, at the moment, the way Spurs are playing from an attacking perspective, that's a good one for Wolves. I can see Jimenez and Jota doing well in that one. After Spurs, Brighton at home, Wolves away, Bournemouth home, Villa. That's 4 very nice fixtures there. And because we know they're playing in 31, at home to Bournemouth, which is at the moment one of the best fixtures going in that blank week, for all we know. It's quite a nice fixture. I would look at double Wolves, whether it be Jimenez, Doherty, Bolly, even Seiss as a budget option.
Yeah, I think actually that was one of a couple of questions down as well, so we can touch a bit more on that.
Yeah, so double Wolves I think is viable. I think Danny Ings still for the next 3, West Ham, Newcastle, Norwich. I would have Danny Ings on the wild card still for the next 3, maybe even longer than that, because he has been very consistent.
Not Armstrong.
Yeah, I mean, as a differential, look, with Armstrong, I called him because it was against Villa, and I kind of feel like because they're defending so badly, any team that's playing Villa, you can kind of pick a player from them, and they might score against them, So I don't want to come across like Armstrong's great for all these games, but he still is shooting a lot. So again, in the Villa game, he had 7 shots, that like one of the highest of any player in the league. So it's always good for a budget option that 5 million, 5.2 to be speculative, because he's going to score eventually, and he's got a couple of returns.
I was going to say, if I'm playing my bench boost and Southampton have decent fixtures for that, and I need a bench player, and I can afford Armstrong would be straight in.
Yeah, definitely.
He could be explosive in a week.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, some people are looking at bench boost in game week 29 if you're going to do a single week, because there's some nice fixtures there, and Southampton have Newcastle at home in 29, so the ones that have got McCarthy on the bench as their second goalkeeper, Ings and maybe Armstrong, it's a nice one, and also Stevens as well, the defender. That's why Newcastle at home in 29 looks a good one for Southampton too. So yeah, they're the teams I would look at. I think Liverpool, Wolves, and yeah, maybe 1 or 2 from Southampton, and maybe a Burnley defender as well for 31 at home to Watford.
Why, when there's Pope?
Pope, yeah. They're the kind of that's the framework I'd build it around, and then the rest is kind of like, do you go for an Everton player? Do you go for a United player? Fernandes, Richarlison, which one do you go for? That's all kind of then subjective,
Graham, anything else to add on that before we move on?
Not really.
Yeah, we said quite a lot there, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah, actually.
Sorry, I blabbed on there.
It's okay. So we had another one from RP that said for the 3rd time this season he needs a Son replacement. Faced with tears of joy, he said. So he said, bless him, he's had him 3 times, and 3 times he's needed a replacement for him. That's so unlucky.
That is.
For me,
he's still got him this week now, is he? He hasn't transferred him out yet.
I think so. Considering he's asking us for replacements, so I would have to say one of the United lads this game week, regardless of their fixture, just on form. But Graham,
yeah, I agree. I think that name we talked about earlier, Bruno Fernandes, definitely an easy swap for Son, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, definitely. And any other shouts there, lads? Or
I mean, the only other options I really had for replacing him, one, if you wanted to save cash, with Leicester's fixtures now turning, I had Barnes and Perez. Man City midfielder, if you wanted to take a gamble on the rotation, although if they're going to play as hard in the Premier League now, with what's going on with their Champions League spots following from this season, who knows? And then I did put Pepe, because I thought, you know what?
Yeah.
Let's be fair, since Kurt called him out, he's had 2 good game weeks. So
and some good chances too.
To be honest, that Arsenal team now looks like there's potential options there, and the fixtures do get good for them. I know it's a blank this game week, but after that, West Ham, Brighton, Hove Albion, Southampton and Norwich in the next 4, I think you could look at some Arsenal players. And I think there might be a stigma amongst a lot of FPL players of, it's Arsenal, I don't want to take that risk if it's not Aubameyang.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to look at but even Aubameyang's ownership consideration,
Well, yeah,
considering what he's
Aubameyang,
doing, is ridiculous.
If you take the fact that he plays for Arsenal out of the equation, Aubameyang's been one of the best strikers in the Premier League since he joined.
Oh, yeah.
And he's reliable. I know there's times when he goes a bit quiet, but he's reliable.
Yeah.
And now they've got a team around him playing. Like, I think there's definitely options in that Arsenal side, and for me, it's just a matter of trying to figure out which the best option is from game week 29 onwards.
Yeah. So his last question, actually, we kind of touched upon most of them, is the best fixtures moving forward. And he also said, thank you guys for all your hard work and dedication to the community. Best of luck.
Thank you.
So thank you, RP. Graham, I know you've done a bit of research. Did you want to tell us about the best fixtures? I think we pretty much touched on most of them, but if you wanted to give them a shout out.
Yeah, I think I touched on it with my little pictures that I'd done earlier. And it was Chelsea, Wolves, Arsenal that I picked out, basically. Yeah. Chelsea, Bournemouth, Everton, Aston Villa. And then Wolves, they've got obviously Tottenham. Tottenham, I don't know what to think of Tottenham at the moment, whether they're a tough team or not.
One game they look absolutely tremendous, and the next game they look back to where they were before Jose joined. It's a bit weird.
But then after that, Wolves fixtures, Brighton, West Ham, Bournemouth and Villa, and they all sound favourable for them. And Arsenal after the blank, West Ham, Brighton, Southampton and Norwich. So, yeah, those would be the way I'd go fixtures-wise.
Yeah, Leicester and Liverpool are the only two I think I'd check onto there.
Southampton and Newcastle. I'll add to that.
Southampton.
I know Newcastle's a very out there pick, but their fixtures don't look bad with Burnley, Southampton, Sheffield United, Aston Villa and Bournemouth.
Well, I was almost sure I was going to get
a lot of home games.
A Newcastle defender there on my wild card, and then the last two game weeks has made me go, I'm not sure again now.
Yeah, their form is certainly on the turn for the worse, isn't it? So
I think a lot of our planning was done, say 4 or 5 game weeks ago for this period, where different teams were on form, and now it's changed. It makes it a lot more difficult. But I think Southampton, Leicester, Wolves, Arsenal are all on the kind of form where you can gamble on them to make the most of those fixtures.
Yeah, that's why I'm not wildcarding this week. It's purely because I feel like I've missed the boat. So I was already on a terrible run of greens, but I think if I was going to wildcarded, I needed to have done it almost when Brett did it or the week after. And I didn't do that. I held on because my team felt like it was only ever 1 or 2 players away from, and I mean, the amount of people I asked as well, and they were like, no, you don't need to wildcard, and I didn't, and it wasn't on, being persuaded by others. It's just that I felt similar, that I wasn't always that far away from a good team. And I have been unlucky, I have always been just 1 or 2 players away from a green arrow, so I've stuck with it. But now I've come this far, I think I do have to see out the blank at least. I am very tempted to do it next game week when, especially with knowing a bit more from those fixtures midweek next week. But I think it is difficult. That anyone who went in that stage definitely, looked at the fixtures, looked at the form and had a great kind of bounce from that. And now it's just trying to call when that next bounce will be, I think. Yeah. But I don't want to leave it too late because I don't think I can afford to, if I don't change things soon, then I'll be too far down the hole. At Rich P _ FPL would like to know which players playing in both game week 28 and game week 31 are you guys thinking about bringing in? Well, this week for me, it's Doherty and Fernandes. United have Everton and Sheffield United in those fixtures, and Wolves have Tottenham and Bournemouth in those weeks. So they're the two that I'm actually considering buying now, which will cover those two. But what about you guys, Graham? What about yourself?
Okay, it might come as a little bit of a surprise, but I just think with the fixtures, and I've seen him play against Arsenal even, and he caused problems. Alan St. Maxim, very lively player. And with his fixtures, I think finally he could get something. also would be the differential that I sort of need at the moment. So Burnley at home, Southampton away, and Sheffield United at home, and then followed by more home fixtures as well. So yeah, that's who I'd go with. Well, I have gone with, should I say.
Oh, interesting. Who did you sell to get him in?
I can't actually remember now.
They obviously were doing really well.
They obviously were so talented. Yeah.
So this is where it's like KDB.
That would be funny.
Oh, well, I'll see what the lads think about that.
I think it's Grealish.
Oh,
I think I got rid of Grealish.
Oh, cool.
Yes, I did. Yep.
I'm loving.
For who?
Saint Maximin.
Oh, nice! You've gone for it. Fair play.
No, we got some Kurt style transfers going on. Yeah, loving.
Interesting.
Yeah. What about yourself, Jay?
I mean, I can't look past Wolves. Like, for those 2 game weeks, if you're asking about game week 28 and 31, and I know it's Spurs in game week 28, but they're guaranteed the fixture in game week 31 no matter what happens. So I just really like that Wolves team going forward. So it would be someone from Wolves. I've already got Doherty. I've got Traore, which needs to be changed, but I think going into this period, I need 2 Wolves players. And the question for me is, do I go Jota as the informed player and the player I actually probably prefer to watch and like I'm drawn to more when I actually watch and eye test, or do I go Jimenez, which is the player that's probably a bit more secure in that side, more likely to play the 90 minutes and a bit more consistent and explosive, but it has to be Wolves for me.
Jay, who would you sell up front for one of those 2?
Well, the issue is I've got Vardy, Ings and Calvert-Lewin.
That's why I'm asking.
Calvert-Lewin might be the one. Just Ancelotti seems to have that Everton side playing in a way that they can still get goals against the big sides.
Yeah.
So that worries me a bit to say that, but Ings and Vardy have the fixtures. And just when I watch Ings, he looks like he's going to score, apart from this week when I really wanted him to score. And I didn't see much from him. And Vardy, I just worried that he's not on form now because of the fixtures and because of the baby and so on and so forth. So I am tempted to consider getting rid of Vardy.
Aren't we all?
Like,
Did you know that when I did my trending transfers video this week, the Vardy is both the second most transferred out and the second most transferred in forward this week?
Wow.
Well, the thing is, like, I saw some people, sorry, I won't say a lot of people, some people calling it and transferring him out before he stopped his run of form.
Yeah.
And like just going, let's get off of this before it ends.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why on earth would you get off a player that is just consistently scoring and scoring and scoring? And they pretty much called it. And I wish I'd done that because I'd have taken a lot of the options I'd considered at times then over Vardy for this period. But with the fixtures turning like they have, I can't get rid of him with Norwich, Aston Villa, Watford in the next week. I just
that baby saved my rank a little bit because he was punishing me. I
couldn't
get
you
on.
Didn't have him, did you?
No, I couldn't get on him, and then the baby came, and it was just a massive relief.
I'm
just glad someone.
Too.
I'm glad someone joined Rebecca in a happiness of the baby being born, because I didn't. I was like, no.
Yeah,
what's it done to my season?
So I guess maybe you're thinking the same with Calvert-Lewin now, because they have some tough fixtures, Everton, right? And like you said, though, it's that kind of thing, working out whether they can continue to score against anybody, or whether you now need to make that choice and think that obviously going to Wolves will see you better than what sticking Calvert-Lewin would do. It's really tough, that one.
I look at Calvert-Lewin and just the chances he doesn't score worries me against bigger opposition. And then Wolves have good fixtures, and I'm like, okay, Jimenez and Jota also have chances where they don't score, and I feel like they should have scored. but surely they're going to get more chances to score against the opposition they have than Calvert-Lewin will. So that is more likely to be my go-to, because I can't get rid of Vardy and Ings with those fixtures. So if I was going to go Wolves attacker, which I kind of feel like I have to, it would probably be Calvert-Lewin.
News just in: Danny Ings has given birth to a baby.
Transfer him out. So next time anyone has a baby, they're out of my team.
It's going to be a new FPL thing. So,
I don't know. Salah had one a couple of weeks ago, and he was fine. So
that's true.
Yeah, but that's a Liverpool side. They both rules. I might start up a site just like Pregnancy Watch.
Yeah. Babygate. Okay. Literally. It stops the goals going in. It doesn't stop them going up the stairs, it stops the goals going in. The Babygate. Maybe that can be an FPL WildCats series. Okay. At Liam, oh my gosh, here's a long one for me. At Liam 907-16324 says, Lundstram is out now, no question about it, though. Is he worth replacing with another Blades defender from Gameweek 29 onwards? Brett, what do we think? Do we stick with Blades? You've got 2 right on your wild card?
Kind of, because I've got Henderson in goal and I've got Stevens. So with the goalkeeper, you technically got double defence. Obviously, I've spoke a lot in the last couple of weeks about Ender Stevens.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I felt
which
that he
Jay
was...
loves you for.
Yeah, I kind of felt like he was due some attacking returns. We knew at the start of the season that he was quite attacking as well. And that kind of paid off. You know, last week he got the goal, which was like a cracking goal as well. But he's got this calf injury now. And I don't know the kind of extent of it at the moment. It's kind of convenient because they have the blank now. So it kind of gives me a little bit of time to assess the situation. But he would be the
quite
one
convenient for him too.
True, yeah. So they don't play now until the 7th of March at home to Norwich, and Norwich are the lowest scorers away from home. Only 6 goals scored away from home all season in 14 games.
Wow.
So game week 29 at home to Norwich does look like a very good chance of a clean sheet statistically. So I can see why you'd want to go back to Sheffield United. Ender Stevens would be my pick. But we have got this injury now. So I would either, I mean, if you're going to go for Sheffield United defence, you haven't got to make the move this week anyway, because they blank. Yeah. So if you're waiting, you can afford to wait until after the blank week and see if Ender Stevens is fit. Then I would go for him. If not him, I mean, Baldock's kind of gone off the boil a little bit lately, hasn't he? He hasn't really done much attacking-wise.
I think we can consider Henderson, right? Quiet. I mean, he's been pretty good all season, regardless of the fixtures. So,
who named? Sorry,
Henderson. I know he's goalkeeper, but it's still defence. If you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I assume he wants to get rid of Lundstram though. So
yeah, good point.
So yeah, if you want a nailed on Sheffield United defender, then go for the goalkeeper. And you've got, I think Jay's got O'Connell, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not paid off for me yet.
What was you thinking on O'Connell then, Jake, for this?
Cheap.
Well, it was price because of who I was. Yeah. It was Lundstram. It was Lundstram for O'Connell, and O'Connell did have goal threat. And since I brought him in,
he doesn't.
Literally every defender feels like they've scored other than O'Connell. But yeah, O'Connell was just the one that seemed the most like it wouldn't affect my budget elsewhere. And he did have some decent goal threat at the time. It doesn't seem to be there anymore. But if you're going for the clean sheets, that shouldn't be too much of an issue with his price point. If you want the attacking returns, then Ender Stevens seems to be the one to go for. You could gamble on Baldock managing to get the returns back again, because it's always possible a player can go off the ball for a couple of game weeks and then come back with a decent performance and get you those returns.
Yeah.
And he has shown that before, so I wouldn't completely discount him. If you heard Ender Stevens definitely wasn't coming back anytime like soon, say 2 or 3 game weeks, then I wouldn't say no to a gamble on Baldock just off of what he's shown us in the rest of the season. But yeah, Ender Stevens is the one that stands out stats-wise.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Shall we take another question from the chat, Brett?
Sure. So I don't know if we've already covered this or not already. So Jeff is asking about Jota, basically, and whether we think Jota can maybe cover Jimenez. Jay, I mean, you kind of mentioned Jota earlier. Do you want to just maybe touch on that again? Do you think Jota can cover Jimenez?
Not to take Nim's job, but I believe there's also a question from the Storm Legacy, which we can kind of cover with this as well. And it's what does 352 mean for Jota and Adama? And it basically goes on to say, does he transfer in the likes of Jota or Aguero, who can play 70 minutes and are likely to get some points, or transfer someone who plays 90 minutes more often than not, aka Jimenez? For me, with that Wolves side, with this change in formation, the gambler in me wants to go Jota. It really does. Like he's just shown in the last 2 games for Wolves that the type of player he is. He seems very difficult for defenders to mark. Seems to offer a lot of different attacking threats, chance creation, goal threat. He can play out wide. He can come back into the middle. He's got the pace. He can get in behind. He has the skills, the goal that he got off of Doherty's assist, a quick turn, and he puts the ball in the back of the net. So I really do like Jota. Do I think he can cover Jimenez? If he plays as many minutes as Jimenez, I think it's definitely possible. I think it could be that they score around the same points, and Jota is definitely cheaper.
He's already 11 points ahead of him. So if you got him last week, you're already 11 points ahead. You've more than covered Jimenez.
I think Jimenez is the safe option, but I think at this point in the season, if you're going for broke, then Jota's the type of player that could possibly excite you for the end of the season and could really do well.
What about a double up then?
Well, I'm very
much
so
annoying that Jota is a forward this season.
If it was a midfielder, it would make life a lot easier.
It was classified differently.
The fact that I've got Doherty and I'm kind of backing Doherty to end the season well means I don't think I can really go with Jota and Jimenez. And I think there's other options up front. Which means I need Doherty right now, defender-wise. As far as attacking defenders, outside of course, Trent and Robertson, Doherty really looks good to me, especially with the fixtures. So,
tempted.
Yeah, I'll probably end up going Jota because of my rank. But Jimenez just feels a safer option. So I'm more likely to recommend Jimenez, just in case they go back to the old formation.
Yeah, what worries me is, like, I know it's a small kind of data, whatever you call it, like just 2 games now. But what does worry me is that Jota scored 5 goals in those, and Jimenez only has 1. And the goal that Jimenez scored should have been a Jota hat-trick, really. It kind of just fell to him off the post, you know? It does worry me that...
Bad control off of that, and that could have gone anywhere. So Jimenez... I potentially would say got lucky because that ball could have gone anywhere off of his foot when it cannoned off the post.
Yeah, and a lot of Jimenez's goals this season were coming from crosses from Traore. So it's a double whammy because Jota's taking the goals, and also when Jota comes in, Traore doesn't play. You know, that worries me a bit as well, you know. Yeah. So
and Neto has done well enough to be considered for the starting 11. I wouldn't suggest Neto as an FPL option. But whenever he has played, he's done enough for that Wolves side, which worries me about the team selection. And to me, it just seems like Jota is more likely to start right now than Adama Traore. And that suggests to me that Jota could be a really good option.
Yeah. It's almost... Yeah, go on then.
No, I was just going to say that... Well, we tend to have started turning quite a lot to Bradley, haven't we, on the Discord channel? Our Wolves guy, Bradley Parker. So if you're not
link
on
in
our
the description,
if you're not on our Discord channel, please go on over and join up because at Bradley Parker is our Wolves moderator there, and he's really good at kind of giving some good hints and tips and thought processes about Wolves and how they're setting up. So for me, I was going to say, I'm not really sure, if I'm honest. Like, I'm not really sure in terms of where they fit with Jota and Adama, but it does look like Jota has kind of stepped in. Graham, what are your thoughts on it?
I think it's a bit of a shame, really. Traore's always showed this great potential, and then I thought finally he's a favourite to Nuno in his lineup, and he's earned his place. And now Jota just jumps back in, but I think that's partly to do with Doherty coming back and Wolves kind of going back to the last season system, and it just probably works better with Jota in there, just more consistent than Traore. Traore had his bite at the cherry, so to speak, and I don't think he quite did enough. But he just looks so great, doesn't he? Everything he does, but it's points at the end of the day. And I just don't think he's quite consistent enough. He'll still come on as a sub, but yeah, I'd go Jota I'd take a gamble on Jota at the moment.
Although against Spurs, to be fair, that's the game Traore would go and score.
Yes,
this is what I want to say, because the two games that we've seen them play the 3-5-2 now, and Jota's excelled in, there's been 2 home games. So we haven't seen them play away from home yet against Spurs. And I know Spurs aren't in the best of form, but it's still away to Spurs. Is he going to go and play 3-5-2 there? Maybe Traore comes back in for that game. I think that would be quite telling. This game now against Spurs will really show if Jota's going to be a long-term option or not. It would give more information, because it would be interesting to see because they were playing at home to Norwich, who obviously are a favourable fixture. You do have the license to get a bit more attacking. So maybe away to Spurs, it might be a tactical decision against Norwich. Maybe away to Spurs it changes again. It's hard to say.
Well, that would suggest then potentially after Spurs they will go back to the 3-5-2 because the fixtures are so good.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that there is suggestion just with the amount of fixtures they have that there will be rotation, but I just think we just generally don't know at the minute, do we?
We don't. It's all speculation.
We're all just, speculating, unfortunately. But I think for me, try and go with a player that's going to play as many minutes as possible, which was the second part of the question, I believe, and just, consistency is king in FPL. So if you can find somebody who plays as many minutes as possible, then I would probably err on that for now. And then as the season goes on and more rotation kicks in, then I think you can try and kind of be a bit more punty with some of these risks. But
just quickly again, like a credit to anyone that got Jota that week after the hat-trick against Espanyol. That was an inspired move.
Wow.
And I bought Jimenez. I had the chance to buy Jota, really. I didn't even consider it, to be honest. Jimenez was always my planned transfer, really. But like you say, Nim, at least with Jimenez, it's always easy to think, Jota, because he got 16 points compared to Jimenez's 5.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter what system they play, Jimenez is the first name on the team sheet. That's the one luxury with him. And he could still easily score away to Spurs. He likes big games as well. So I mean, Jota got a hat trick and then came off after 62 minutes. Scored 2, and came off after 60 minutes. So at least with Jimenez, you've got the luxury of knowing he starts every game. You haven't got this headache about is Traore going to start? Is Jota going to start? So there's benefits to both.
Yeah, of course. Actually, just quickly then, at Austin 660 plays with Jeffers. He does have with Jeffers corner in a second, but he did ask which 3 Wolves players are best value, and I think we'd probably mainly all agree on. Well, I don't know actually, because I put Jimenez, Doherty, and Sace, but I guess you guys would go for Jota. Say what we're talking about at the moment.
If I was going value, I wouldn't recommend Jota.
No, okay.
Jota's a punt for me. But just because of what I'm trying to achieve, I'm willing to take that risk.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I had the same players you had and Wilfred Bobby as well.
Yeah, I was going to say he looks great, but he's kind of in that 5 mil range. I'm a bit like, do you want to pay that little bit extra for? I'd probably go up to Doherty, or if not, save a bit of cash for Says. Is that 5 mil spot is just a bit like, if I had the cash, then I'd probably upgrade, but I'm not sure I would
with Lundstram, Rico, all them coming out of favour, I think 5 million's the new 4.5.
Aguero out, you've got the cash.
He's 4.7 as well, you know. It's
Is he? Oh,
it's not too bad, you know, because he started at 5, but because of the injuries and stuff. And
he's gone down a bit. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
that does. I know it's just 0.3, but when you hear 4.7, you do.
Yeah, it feels a bit better, doesn't it?
It's in the 4 then, you know. It's like it's a bit like in shops when they put it at 99.
Yeah, 0.9.
It just sounds cheaper, you know. You think, oh,
that's how they should start the season. 4.9
Yeah.
million. Everyone's like, yeah, great value.
Yeah, have them in. Yeah.
But yeah, and because I saw people who were frustrated because they bought Bolly, and then Sice was the one who got the assist. But Bolly was so close to scoring the goal from that assist, you know, like he just went past him. So they're both great picks, I think. You know,
Graham.
Yeah.
Anyone different? Sorry.
I had a little look earlier, and I see for value 5.0 Connor Cody, and he always plays, doesn't he?
No.
And his returned points in the last 3 games is a 9, a 6, and a 5. So you're getting points there, and for 5.0, that's not bad at all. And then I went Jimenez and Doherty like you guys.
Yeah, I could go back to my early season hero in the Den Donkey. You know, he's a cheap bench filler if you really need one, but I wouldn't be putting my money there if I really needed to. So, okay, at James Mason wants to know Greenwood to DCL or O'Connell to Bolly and play Greenwood. 1 free transfer and 2.7 mil in the bank. Graham, what do you think?
Sorry, what was that? I just missed that. Sorry.
It's okay. It's Greenwood to DCL or O'Connell to Bolly and play Greenwood. 1 free transfer and 2.7 mil in the bank.
I'd go O'Connell to Bolly for fixtures. Although Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he seems to be favoured on minutes played under Ancelotti. He's definitely a favourite there, and obviously he's been scoring the goals. And basically, do you want a clean sheet or do you want goals? So that's kind of where you're looking at. Does your team lack the defence? Does it lack goals? Whichever one, prioritise it and go O'Connell or DCL.
Yeah, for me, I'm thinking the Greenwood to DCL for me, only because I wouldn't want to play the whole roulette thing with Greenwood going forward. I think that's
absolutely
a bit more of a securer move, at least for a starting player. What is DCL price-wise in comparison to Jota? Are they close?
I think Jota 6.1 and Calvert-Lewin is 6.2. So yeah.
So maybe you could consider Jota, but again, do we think Jota's a rotation risk? I'm not sure if we.
I think a few more games and we'll know.
A few more games and we'll know. So I mean, maybe you could go DCL for now in the thought process of moving on to Jota, or you could just take the punt. But I think, I just can't. Greenwood is just so roulette-like at the moment, isn't he? I don't know whether I'd want to kind of.
Which is annoying because he looks really
looks
good
so good. Yeah, exactly. Like, I agree with that.
I don't understand why he's not a starter by now.
Yeah.
But what he's offering the team when he plays, I would be like, okay, put him up front.
Yeah.
But
I'll go on performance.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, we have one more question in the chat then, Brett, and we'll head on over to Jeff's corner.
Okay, sure. So Harshal wants us to talk a little bit about any chip strategies that we may have without a wild card in hand. So am I the only one who doesn't have a wild card anymore? Graham, have you used yours?
I've used my chips, it's all just on getting the captains right for me now.
So you've used your wild card as well then?
Yeah.
For me, I would say to Harshal that at the moment there's still a lot of information up in the air. I know that sounds like a soft answer, but it's very hard to have a solid chip strategy when you don't really know which teams are going to blank for sure, when the doubles are going to be. So we know obviously 28 is a blank. We know 31 is going to be a blank, but we don't know which teams are going to blank yet. It clashes with the 6th round of the FA Cup. So any teams that progress to the 6th round of the FA Cup will blank in game week 31, along with the opponents they're going to face in that game week. The games will get rescheduled. When they get rescheduled to, we don't know. So I haven't got a wild card. My plan is to kind of wait for more information, see how many teams blank in game week 31. If Liverpool do somehow beat Chelsea in the FA Cup, which I'm assuming a young team will get put out, so the chances are Chelsea will beat them maybe. If Liverpool somehow win that game, they'll blank in 31. Now I've got triple Liverpool, and I'm not going to go and transfer them out. So if that happened, I would probably free hit in game week 31 then, along with a lot of other people, because most of us have got double or triple Liverpool. However, we're probably expecting them not to progress if Klopp puts a weak team out against Chelsea. Therefore, in game week 31, hopefully Liverpool won't blank. And that would probably mean maybe we can keep the free hit until a bit longer into the season, because in game week 31, we'll have triple Liverpool. By then, I might have 1 or 2 Wolves players. I might be able to get through 31 without the free hit then. But it's still, until we know which teams are going to blank or not, that's all I can really say, to be fair. What I would say is, because I've got the free hit, I kind of want Liverpool to blank in that week, because people who have used the free hit won't be prepared then. You know, they'll have triple Liverpool. They'll be blanking.
You're wanting Graham to fail. Is that what you're saying?
Does he have the free hit, Graham, or?
No.
Okay. I'm not thinking not just Graham specifically.
I know.
But the majority of the game, it would give me an advantage then, because lots of people have triple Liverpool. Why wouldn't you? If they did blank in 31, that's really going to bother people that don't have the free hit anymore. So yeah, Harshal, hopefully that's a good bit of information there. I know it's not a clear strategy, but we kind of have to wait now. We might know before this game week deadline, 28 deadline, we might know if there's going to be double game weeks in 29, that kind of thing. But I would say just hold off for now, wait for more information, and potentially free hit in 31.
Well, Jay...
bench Salah.
Yeah, but Jay has just done a video on his chip strategy.
Oh, yes.
Perfect.
Well, to be honest, but my chip strategy comes with a wild card.
Yeah, true.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So what is your strategy with a wild card, Jay? And could it be applied without?
It would be difficult to apply it without, because it's to focus on bringing in players for game week 32 and onwards, and to free hit in game week 31. So basically using the free hit to completely ignore blank game week 31, which could potentially be the biggest blank game week of the season, depending on results, of course. So wildcard would come in before any of the double game weeks, depending on which I thought was more favourable, and then the bench boost would come in on the one with more fixtures, where I think I can predict the players that will score big points, and then the triple captain would come in on the double game week, where I just thought there was one fixture that's looked really good, and the rest of the fixtures were harder to predict. So that's my strategy. If I didn't have the wild card, I think you have to... It would probably be the same. You could still plan for game week 32 onwards with your transfers if you have the free hit.
Yeah.
So it would probably be very, very similar, in fact. I know I just said I hadn't planned for it, but thinking about it right now, I think you could still do the same thing. Of course, we're more likely to have a decent picture of what's going on by game week 29 when the deadline hits. So yeah, transfer in players that you think are going to potentially have those double game weeks, and then use the free hit as your way out of game week 31.
Graham, what is your non-chip strategy?
Mine is at the well, I've got a lot of fires in my defence to put out, and it's choosing which one to do. I've tried to bring in as many players playing as I could for the blank. So I think at the moment I'm one short on that. But basically, I should have probably saved my chips a bit better, to be fair.
Where are you OR-wise again?
Where am I?
In OR, in overall rank.
Overall rank 1,800,000 K. Sorry,
it was an attempt. K or million?
1 million.
1 million. So it was an attempt, I guess, to try and get yourself out of where you were by using them in one go, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anything I can do. I tried to be like clever with Martinelli, and now he sort of froze out a little bit.
Yeah,
but
I don't
he could come back into it easily, because I know Arteta does it based on performances. So after that blank game week, I could be all right with Pepe and Martinelli, but obviously I need them to actually do something when they do come back. But yeah, going into this blank game week, I'm one player short. So just hoping that they do good enough, really. I'm sort of biting the bullet, and that's all I can do, really.
Yeah, you know what? I've spoken about this, and then there was a couple of years back, I think, where there was quite a big blank, and I only had like 7 players playing, and so did a lot of others. People who transferred players in didn't do much better to those who didn't bother at all, you know, especially when you take into account some of the hits that people took. So, you know, sometimes it's better just to go without. You know, it's not always imperative to have a starting 11 sometimes, especially if you've got to take a lot of hits to get them in. So maybe that could be a good strategy. Yeah.
And also, Soyuncu kind of hurt me as well, since Ndidi left. So that's enough. All my defence, basically.
No, I tell you what, it's been my main downfall for weeks now. It's been my defence, to be honest with you. So I can completely relate.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I put the violin away now. That's all right. Moving on.
Hopefully, indeed, he comes back soon. And with the fixtures that Leicester have now, Soyuncu, if he's in your squad, he might not be the worst of your problems, you know? If you've got the likes of with Sidibe, who's quite expensive, bad fixtures, maybe Soyuncu might become a reliable option again for the next few weeks. If indeed he comes back, you know, he's a big part of that. So.
Yes, indeed. Love that one. Love it. I'm pulling it out again. Okay, then let's move on to our quite complicated Jeffers Corner question this week. It comes from Austin66 UK. It's Jeffers, we know really well in the community. And he asks, which 2 individuals from different eras of history who could never have met do you think would be interesting to listen to having a conversation in the present day? Now, I have to say this sparked much conversation around the dinner table in my house when we were discussing it. So I'm looking forward to what you guys have to say.
Don't ask me first.
Have an answer. Okay. All right.
Oh, no.
Graham?
My own no said it all, didn't it? It's a good. I like the question. It's really
it's thought-provoking, I think.
Yeah, because you'd think of these characters and you'd think, what would they talk about? What were they known for? And then who could they conflict with? And who would be the most awkward person you could probably put them with?
I love that's where you go. Let's have an awkward conversation.
Yes.
Should I go first? I kind of have an answer.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
I have several answers. I would have liked to have done like Jay's like, no, don't say it because you're going to steal my answer.
I don't have an answer yet, so there's no way you can steal my answer.
So I would have liked to have done Tolkien and Rowling, but obviously they cross over somewhat in lifespan. I also thought that I'd love to quite be a fly on the wall with Marilyn Monroe and Kim Kardashian. I'd love to hear what they would have to say to each other. But I think I'm going to go with Professor Brian Cox and Leonardo da Vinci. So I think we need a translator, obviously. But I bet that conversation could be really quite interesting. I mean, Brian Cox and Galileo would be quite interesting, but I think stick Da Vinci in the mix and that would be a very varied conversation, I think, and quite interesting to listen to. I might need some things explained to me, but I'd love to hear what they'd have to say to each other. For sure, it'd be quite cool. Brett, did you have an answer? It looks like you're still thinking.
Yeah, I did. Honestly, I didn't really. I was just thinking on my feet, really. But
me and you both, mate.
Yeah, when Nim, you just said something, then it kind of sparked a little. Did you say Brian Cox or?
Yeah, Professor Brian Cox. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of made me think because I'm quite into he's the scientist, right? The astrology.
Yeah.
Or astronomy, I should say, astronomy.
Yeah, astronomy.
That kind of made me think about. Obviously, I'm quite into astronomy and stuff, and I watched Cosmos a couple of years back on Nat Geo, and that was such an unbelievable series. That 10 episodes, Cosmos, was really fascinating. And I know it's hosted by Neil deGrasse Tyson, who I know at the moment is a bit of a controversial figure because he's losing a lot of fans and stuff. So I'm not saying I'm a huge fan of his, but I thought he was great in that series. And he talks about Carl Sagan, who obviously was, because the Cosmos series that I watched is a reboot from a Cosmos from the 80s or something. And it's based off a show that Carl Sagan did, who's a really famous astronomer as well. So those two maybe, because I know that deGrasse Tyson's a huge, his inspiration was Carl Sagan basically. So maybe those two could be a good conversation.
Cool. Are they the same era as each other though? Because if they cross over, then it's not allowed apparently.
Yeah, true. Okay.
So, right. I know that'd be cool.
You could have just let him get away with it.
Couldn't just let him.
You had to call it, didn't you? You couldn't just let him get away with it. You're like, no, you're not having that.
This is why it's not so easy. See, I think that's why he put that stipulation in. This is why it was much deliberated over our dinner table, because we were like, oh no, you can't have that, because they were crossed over. I mean, J.K. Rowling would have been 4, I think, when Tolkien passed away, but they still could have technically met each other. Whether it would have been a conversation you would have wanted to listen to, however, is another thing. But that's why he put that stipulation in, I'm sure, to catch us all out. So what are we thinking, lads?
Mig says Darwin and David Attenborough. That's a pretty cool shout.
Oh, that's a cool shout. Yeah, that's good. That's good.
I think anything on the basis of science and stuff, because the scientists from way back, centuries ago, for them to have a chat now with what's the science now and stuff, and it's all to see if their research, how it's changed and stuff.
What about something like Queen Victoria and Meghan Markle? That could be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Robin Williams and Albert Einstein.
Ooh, yes.
They could talk about flubber, a scientific kind of theme.
Yeah, they could.
That's the thing, because we're trying to keep it in the same genre, but rather than random people in the same room,
Well, random people might not talk to each other. They might be like, hi.
Yeah.
So, I like science. Yeah, I don't. All right, see you later.
Jay, what about any wrestlers, from one era to another?
I mean, most of the wrestlers that I was fond of probably would have crossed over with the wrestlers that exist now. Yeah. Mainly.
It's true.
So, I've not been alive that long yet. Just saying, the ones I liked as kids are still around, most of them anyway. I actually went with history.
Okay.
While I was quickly typing in managers, football managers, all sorts. I was typing everything going.
Yeah,
there has to be someone.
But few managers in the chat as well.
The one I ended up going with is, as a kid, I was absolutely fascinated by Robert the Bruce, who was a king in Scotland after William Wallace.
Braveheart, isn't it?
Yeah,
love that movie.
Comparing him to maybe a great king of England, maybe Richard the Lionheart, or someone like that. I'd love to hear what they could possibly talk about. And it'd also be interesting, because I'll be the one listening, coming from now, listening to what they're talking about and what things they would discuss, being kings so long ago. So that is the one I eventually came to decide while typing away furiously.
Yeah, I mean, it's so thought-provoking, isn't it? It's then you have to you could go back and think about the ones that whether they existed or not. So you could be Merlin.
Well, I did look at Arthur. And
Merlin. I was thinking that, and Arthur.
I was like,
yeah. Who would you put them stick them with dynamo and be your magic is a real magic. This is real magic.
That's just an illusion.
Yeah. But
what about just quickly on that? I'm not a religious guy, but I was thinking like Jesus must have been someone, right? Jesus was somebody at some point, probably. There's probably a guy that was like that's now been like made into this big figure. But what about him? Him like Richard Dawkins or something. Stick them in a room, like someone who's like so like anti-religion, proper atheism, like science, and then put him in the room with like the guy that was.
You want that awkward conversation that Graham wants, don't you?
Yeah, that would be very good.
Just the guy going, "Give me a glass of water." Bang. There you go. Shut up.
Give me that crown of thorns. That's not real.
Okay. Probably good idea that Kurt wasn't here, right?
Oh, who knows what Kurt would have come up with.
Exactly.
Pepe and King Johnny on. I know they're probably in the same era, though, aren't they?
The same era.
Yeah, but would they have met? Is it possible?
I know what you'd probably say, but I'm too scared to mention the names on here. He's a German person, and Kim Jong-un is all I'll say.
I'm not going to lie, that did cross my mind, but then I thought I'd better not say it.
Yeah, before we get chucked off YouTube, Jay, did we figure out how to do the polls?
No, I still don't know how to do polls.
Okay,
I don't know. Maybe I'll look at how we could potentially do polls in the Discord so we can link it somehow.
Yeah. We're sorry we're a little bit late because YouTube has this thing where it keeps putting you back on the live if you don't start dead on a minute in this new YouTube setup. So we do apologise that we were a little bit late coming in, but
it meant you got to watch more of the football.
Yes, we were being kind. That's what we were doing. Wink, wink. Okay, cool. I will just say thank you again to Graham for joining us and pass you over to Jay to wrap up. I love that. So good. We have to clip that.
Surely I should somehow get my image of the Wolves player with my face on the screen, like big screen, and then just do the outro with that showing. Yes. But thank you guys so much for tuning in to this episode as always. If you have enjoyed it, please do consider hitting that like button, subscribe, and hitting that notification bell so you are informed when we go live. We will try and keep you updated when we're going live on our Twitter, so go and follow that as well. And also do check out the Discord, link is in the description down below, as well as the sponsors of this channel, Fantasy Football Scout. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you next time. Time to do sport.